So today we're going to do a little seminar on the differences between the 66 through 70, what I call the Forgotten Falcons. If you are on Facebook, there's a group called Forgotten Falcons that deals with a third-gen US-made Ford Falcon. And I want to go over some of the differences between the years, sort of a spotter's guide, if you will, and talk about the differences over the years. So my car is, of course, a 66. First year of the third-gen Falcon. And it's got this rather sort of plain-looking grille with the horizontal bars. And the 67 is a little bit different. I'll show you that here next. And this is the 67 grille for comparison. It's got kind of a cross in the middle of it versus just the horizontal bars and the center emblem of my 66. Now, all Falcons preceding the third gens all had round taillights, and they continued this theme on the 66 and 67 cars. And the taillights are different, and I'll show you the difference in a short second here, but this is a 66. Both 66 and 67 had round taillights, and in 1968 they went to a rectangular taillight. So this is a 67 taillight. You can see it has the extra chrome ring around it and a reverse light there in the center. And then in 1968, we go to rectangle. And that's what a 68 through 70 taillight looks like. Now, they didn't really change on those 3 years as far as the taillights go. So anything post 67 is going to have these taillights. 66 to 67 is very easy to tell a difference apart, particularly if you're looking at the fenders. Now the grills, they can be swapped around. So sometimes people put different grills in cars, or they couldn't get the original and they got wrecked. But the fenders will always give it away. A 66 has plain fenders like this. And 1967 has the fenders with the faux vents. And that was a 1-year only item. And 1967 was a very short year for production due to a strike at the factory. So 67 cars are pretty rare. 66 to 67 also has the round gauges in the instrument panel. 68 through 70 has the sweep speedometer, which is more of a rectangular binnacle. 66, only year for the simple 2-spoke with the chrome steering wheel. 67 only has the flower pot horn button. 68 through 70, 2-spoke, all plastic steering wheel. So the grille for 68 through 70 is always the same. It's going to look like this. Now the only way to tell 68, 69, and 70 apart is through the side markers, and this is the 68 version side marker. It's a 2-piece with the Falcon logo. 1969 and 1970 have these small side marker lights with no extra enhancements to them. Beginning in 1970, we started to put the VIN number up on the dash at the base of the windshield. Now, that's pretty much the only difference. 69 and 70 cars are essentially all the same, because most 1970 cars were actually manufactured in the end of 1969. Ford knew that it was the end of the line for the Falcon by then, did absolutely nothing different on them other than what was required for emissions and this federally mandated VIN location. So trying to find a difference between 69 and 70 is pretty difficult, but this is your one key giveaway. So they only survived partway through 1970, and then the brand was replaced by this, which is essentially a Torino. The only difference here is that it's a lower trim level Torino, and it was called and badged the Falcon. You can see the emblem there in the rear quarter. It was a very much decontented car. It was a low price leader, entry level machine. And although you could get it with some, high performance engines as a Strippo model, it was kind of an odd duck. And these are very unusual and rare cars. You could get these in 2 doors and 4 doors, and even as a wagon in 70 and a half is what these are called. So you don't want to call this a 1970 Falcon, you want to call it a 70 and a half. And Ford Motor Company even did the same thing. So one last thing on these, basically there's 3 trim levels of Falcons. And there's the base model, the Futura, and the Sports Coupe. Mine is a Futura, and the Futuras for 6 and 7 were very easy to tell apart. It has chrome on the hip, I call it, in the back there. That's a 66. 67 will have a side molding along this body line here on the door. Runs through the fender and the door, or the fender and the quarter panel, I can't remember which. And then the Sports Coupe model always has the bucket seats. That's the special treatment that got. Futuras also have chrome trim around the windows and chrome rocker moldings. The wheel opening moldings are optional. The base models, of course, are going to be very basic, stripped models. It's going to be painted around the side windows. You're not going to have the chrome embellishments there. No chrome on the trunk lid, and so on. The Sports Coupe models are usually designated by this emblem on the C-pillar. But again, it's going to be a bucket seat car. Now, you can get obviously 6s and V8s in these cars. You never were able to get anything bigger than a small block Windsor. It was either a 289 or a 302, depending on the year. There were several different 6-cylinders available over the years. I'm not going to get into that. 3-speed on the column was standard. Automatic C4 optional. And yes, you could get a top loader 4-speed in these as an option, but only, to my knowledge, in 66 and 7. After that, they did not want these cars robbing Mustang sales, and so you could only get a manual 3-speed on the column, never as a floor shift after that. So that is the differences in a nutshell on these old Falcons, 3rd gen, 1966 through 70, the Forgotten Falcons, the red-headed stepchildren of the Falcon Club, and my favorite Falcon. Hopefully this was educational. Look forward to seeing you next time.